Ladies, gentlemen, and Vault Hunters of all ages, thanks to the folks over at Gearbox, we've been given an early copy of Borderlands 4, and today I'm able to deliver you my first impressions early through the lens of one specific section of one story mission that has been cleared to be shared. Meaning if you're worried about spoilers, this is about as minimal as possible while still being able to show off the gameplay and mechanics and one of the proper bosses. That said, before we dive in properly, a couple of quick disclaimers. First, because this preview is before the release of the game, I am very limited on what I am allowed to talk about and what I'm allowed to show you, so if I say something without showing it on the screen, I apologize for that, and if there are things you think should probably be discussed, it's probably because I can't yet, but we will have our proper review on launch day with a lot more details. This is just to give you all a bit of new gameplay footage while I talk about how I feel about the raw gameplay more than anything else, as that's the bulk of what I can say. As well, it's worth mentioning I am playing on PC with mouse and keyboard, and I'm playing on hard difficulty, which mostly means that I'm taking more damage than normal, and also that the elemental damage usage matters a lot more. That out of the way, it feels great. The pace is faster than any previous game in the Borderlands series. Obviously, it will vary a bit from character to character, but the new movement options make the game feel way more active than ever before. The double jump you'd think would just be a traversal tool, but it's also awesome for dodging enemy attacks. The burst dodge is also great for different styles of attacks too. And of course, the sprint sliding isn't new for the series necessarily, but having it combined with a double jump and with the burst dodge and with the grappling hook whenever that comes into play too, it really feels like you have more control than you ever have in the past. For context of what's going on in the footage on screen then, the exact quote I'm allowed to share with you is this. After arriving in the Fade Fields, the player Vault Hunter has teamed up with the Crimson Resistance in their fight against Idolator Saul, one of the Timekeeper's lieutenants. Now, the player is taking the fight to Saul's fortress. Personally, I was playing Amon, the Forge Knight, and I absolutely love his gameplay style. I am level 14 at the start of the footage. I progress up to level 15 in the gameplay, and I'm playing with the Onslaughter action skill that you may have seen from his gameplay trailer. This is an action skill that gives me constant shield regeneration while it's active, movement speed, and incendiary damage with guns while active too, as well as giving me a rocket punch to replace my normal melee, which is one of my favorite things I've ever had in a Borderlands game. And when I talk about there being a lot of movement in this game, this adds even more. The range on this thing is intense. You can absolutely fling yourself at enemies a mile away, and if you're someone who likes playing up close and personal, you can always be at that range as a result. I'm also using the Pyroclast Augment with this, which makes Onslaughter activation fully restore my health and shield and surround me in a storm of damage created by Forge drones. You can see them buzzing around my head while the skill is active, shooting out an incendiary mist that damages anything nearby. This hurts everything around me, so it heavily incentivizes being right up next to the enemy's face, and it's also a kill skill, where if you kill an enemy inside of the Forge storm's radius, it will give you 20% of your action skill duration back. So you can use this to keep it active for a very long time if you are killing stuff enough, frequently enough, and the game does spawn a lot of enemies in most encounters. But also it increases the damage of the Forge itself each time that you do this, the actual storm, up to a 200% damage multiplier increase. It's a really fun ramping skill to try and keep active as long as possible with this setup. The main weapon that you'll be seeing me use today is a rocket-launching Torgue shotgun, but I also am a really big fan of the Jakobs assault rifles, fast-firing single-shot headshot machines with ricocheting bullets whenever you get a headshot, and I've got one of these as well that I often use, and I've also got a sniper rifle, which I honestly mostly use like it's a shotgun, just getting up close and no-scope headshotting enemies, and in most of the footage I also have a shock damage weapon equipped for helping deal with enemies that have a meaty shield. The new rep kit system feels awesome. These are far more advanced versions of the old healing kit items. This is usable with a hotkey in-game while you're playing without opening your inventory, instant healing. Some of them have healing over time effects, and as they are part of your actual equipment too, they've got tons of extra effects. Immediate example being the one that I am using on this mission. It has healing over time, and then it has a cooldown timer. It also has a modifier that gives me 100% increased action skill cooldown rate for 8 seconds after using it. And it's order manufactured, which for this slot means it gives it a second charge. My Ordinance, which is the new sort of concept in Borderlands 4 that melds your old grenade slot to include things like heavy machine guns or full-on like rail guns as well as options, as well as rocket launchers. And instead of all those things working off of like a depletable ammo count, they now include a number of limited uses and then a cooldown. Grenades, for example, is for each grenade you have to wait the cooldown. You can have multiple charges. The big proper weapons, you get a set number of shots before you have to wait on the actual cooldown itself. In most of the footage, I'm going to be using this TDR grenade that fires bullets around it for a few seconds after it detonates. But the reason I wanted to talk about this is that the variety, even just in this slot, is huge. There's tons of grenades with various effects, of course, but there's also so many other options that you can stick in this slot too. There's also tons of cool shield effects in this game as well, including armor shields, which are entirely new, and this new slot called Enhancement, which replaces the old artifact relic system. This simply gives you bonuses when you are using a gun with parts from a specific manufacturer. This Jakobs enhancement gives me bonus ricochets when using Jakobs guns, as well as fire rate and reload speed for guns in general. This TDR one over here gives the TDR weapons that throw exploding projectiles when you reload a chance to spawn a second thrown projectile, which is sort of awesome. And then it has a number of other bonuses too. The gear system in this game has more depth than any prior Borderlands, and as of this point, it feels great. So the general gameplay feels better than it ever has. The skill trees are bigger than ever and more impactful in your actual moment-to-moment gameplay as well, rather than just being pure statistical upgrades, and the equipment is deeper and more interesting than ever too. I really like how I've been able to sort of put myself into a set build archetype that makes sense, even at this relatively low level. Like, I have a ton of synergy going on between my skills, my equipment, my playstyle, and I am only level 15. And that feels extremely satisfying as someone who really enjoys the building yourself up to be strong side of gaming. The skins and customization side of things are great too. You'll have seen how my character currently looks while I'm in the menus as well, but I won't show any more customization options than that. And now it's time to talk about the big thing for me, which is the boss fights and the hard enemies. Here in the section of gameplay of the footage that I can show, the main boss fight is Idolator Saul, and put simply, he feels fantastic. There is a main overarching mechanic to the fight where you have to remove his armor before you can actually damage him, and then he just has a ton of really great telegraphed attacks, like better telegraphing than I have seen from any game in the series, other than maybe Tiny Tina's Wonderland specifically, which makes sense as it was the most recent entry. But unlike that game, we just have so much more freedom of movement and choices of how to control our character that those telegraphed attacks feel more meaningful. You can actually react to them properly. The double jump, the boost dash, the glides, the slides, almost all of it has active use for avoiding specific attacks in combat, and it makes the boss fighting especially feel leagues ahead of any Borderlands game that I have played. It's really engaging, extremely satisfying, and I hope that the rest of the game continues to follow this trend, because this boss right here feels awesome to fight. Even outside of this though, a lot of the general generic enemies have a lot more telegraphed attacks and slower moving, but higher damaging projectiles to give you a real opportunity to dodge them or avoid them, but punish you pretty hard if you fail to. And anytime that stuff starts to happen, it almost feels like you're playing a bullet hell game, in a good way. There is more properly avoidable damage in this game than any other game in the Borderlands series. And because of the new movement systems we have as well, it is fully within your power to be able to avoid the majority of it. And that is, I think, the main thing that I want to drive home from this video, if nothing else. I am really enjoying the new and improved gameplay, with a lot of it boiling down to the movement. It makes everything faster, it feels more chaotic until you get a handle of it, but at the same time, it gives you more control than you've ever had before. And so they've designed the enemies around that fact as well to push you to actually use the new things correctly, which makes the enemies more interesting too, and I think it's fantastic. It feels really good. That's pretty much it. Again, apologies for all the stuff I'm not allowed to talk about, but from the stuff that I am, my opinion is quite high, and I haven't felt this much enjoyment from the raw gameplay of a Borderlands game since Borderlands 2 at its initial release, which was great for its time. But this feels like a truly modern Borderlands game, with genuine improvements and evolutions across the board. I hope you've all enjoyed this early look at the game, and if you let us know which of the Vault Hunters you are most looking forward to, we'll see what we're able to share about them in the lead up to the release of the game as well. Like if you liked the video, subscribe to the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'm the conductor of the poop train! Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice. to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.